Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Studio 78 podcast. I am your host, Nache, and you can find me over at nachesnow.com. That's NACHESNOW.com. I'm really excited to introduce you guys to my guest today, Brittany, who is talking about food and some natural living tips. But before we do that, I just have two requests for you, just two. The first, if you haven't already, be sure to go over to nachesnow.com/journal to sign up to get notified about my new journal coming out called The Life Cleanse. And it's all about focusing on 10 areas of your life. So it's asking you questions about 10 areas. And then it walks you through like creating an action plan to accomplish like goals in any of the areas that you feel are most important to you. So I'm super duper excited about it. So sign up because of course I'm gonna have like some freebies and all kind of other goodies in order to like really promote the new journal once it's printed. So nachesnow.com/journal. And then the second thing, you guys know this is my second episode of the season 2 opening of Studio 78. So I really want to just get the word out there and then also have like iTunes recognize it. So if you haven't already, please leave me a review. 5 stars would be amazing. Over at nachesnow.com/iTunes. That's the shortcut. It'll take you to the page so you can leave a review, or if you're doing it from your phone, it should open up the iTunes or Apple rather podcast app so you can leave a rating. So if you do those two things, I will love you forever. Okay, so let's get into this episode. I'm really excited. Okay, so Brittany Hollie, I discovered her on Instagram. And she has a website, Little Sweet Spice Advice, that gives recipes and also some natural living tips. And then she also has another website. It's a shop called Piece of Paradise. And that's where she sells organic and whole grain online desserts. And so I was like, oh my God, her story is amazing because as you hear in this episode, or as you will hear in this episode, we're gonna start out talking about how she even discovered that she had fibromyalgia. And it's kind of like one of those situations where you know something is wrong, but no one knows exactly what it is. And then we talk about like how she discovered like that food is a way to really manage those symptoms. So she gives some tips on the types of food to eat. And then we talk a little bit about like why she started the online bakery. And we go into some grocery shopping tips that can benefit everybody. We go back into the business side of things, talking about marketing and all that other good stuff. And then we just end on, talking about fibromyalgia, like the medicines that you may have to take, seeing a specialist versus a doctor, and like some of the tests you could take in order to find out if you have it. So overall, even if you're not suffering from fibromyalgia, I think this episode is great because she gives amazing tips for just eating healthy and just things to think about if you want to live more naturally. And so I feel like overall, like that's good for like everybody. And so I've learned some stuff in here too. And, I've already started making changes in my life, but this episode just gave me some more ideas on how I could continue to do that and be better at it. So I hope you guys really enjoy this episode and that it inspires you to live better. And of course, we're not doctors, so if something's wrong, go to the doctor, but at least it gives you the questions to ask and just helps you start to think about like how you can make changes in your life. Okay? All right, so yeah, let's do this. Here's Britt. Hello, everyone. I have Brittany here. Welcome, Brittany.
Hi, Nache. Thank you for having me.
Can't wait to really get into your business, a little sweet spice and advice. But before we even get into that, can you give us a little bit about your background kind of leading up to this business of yours?
Sure. I have fibromyalgia, I have chronic fatigue syndrome, and I have dysautonomia. So I became symptomatic about 8 years ago, and it was hard for me to find doctors or specialists that could diagnose me. So I'm like, okay, what can I do? So I just started researching online to figure out, exactly what could be wrong.
Mm.
So also my mom, she had fibromyalgia, but we didn't have a lot of the same symptoms. So it took a while for us to figure out, oh, we have the same disease.
And just for the listeners out there, what are some of the symptoms?
Some of the symptoms are pain and numbness of the nerves.
Mm.
So when I get up in the morning, I'm like really stiff. I feel like I'm like 65 or something. So it
Oh,
takes a
wow.
little bit to get acclimated in the morning. It takes maybe about 10 or 15 minutes before I can actually get up out of the bed because I'm just so sore. And it also affects like my digestive system and memory. It affects a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, just going through all of that and having doctors not believe that you're actually sickly because you're so young, it was trying. But I was like, I have to figure out something. There has to be some type of way for me to fix my symptoms. So I started to figure out that your diet really affects your symptoms and how you live daily. So I started researching and found that I could get rid of white sugar and white flour, and that would impact my health. So I use organic cane sugar and I use organic whole wheat flour, white whole wheat flour. And that started to help a few of my symptoms. And then I was like, okay, there has to be some other stuff I can do. So I started eating organic vegetables and free range chicken, organic eggs, pasture raised lamb, and that impacted my health and it started to decrease my symptoms. I'm still symptomatic, but it's very few and far between in the days that I feel like crap. And I
Because
have a lot more energy now. So,
okay, yeah, I was gonna ask, like, how did you know that the change of diet was working?
yeah. So, my symptoms, like I said, they started to diminish. Like I said, I still have days where I'm just, out of it. But for the most part, I can get through my day to day life and not feel as crappy as I once felt. Because I would be in college and I would get so sick in class that my professors would stop class and ask if I'm doing okay, if they needed to call someone. It was pretty embarrassing, but like I said, I tried to do what I could do. And I eventually had to medical withdraw from school. It was just so hard. I was working at the time and I couldn't focus on my classes the way I needed to with dealing with my health. So, yeah, I just ended up medical withdrawing and I was like, okay, Lord, what can I do?
I know it's
So,
like, what's next, right? Because you probably
yeah.
had this plan in your head, and now, right, everything has changed.
So, at the time, I was baking for customers when I could. I love to bake. So, I was thinking, well, maybe I could have an online bakery and take orders from people. And that way I could make a little money since I knew
So,
I couldn't physically work for anyone.
before you even have to drop out of college, so you were already kind of selling like these like
Yes.
treats and other types of foods. Okay.
Yes, I was already selling. At that time, I wasn't selling organic desserts. I was just at that time trying to research and I didn't want to like test it on my customers quite yet. So I actually did a year of researching and testing of using organic ingredients because organic baking is a little bit different than your regular baking because the way the whole wheat flour is structured, you have to treat it differently. So I finally figured it out and I decided that I was like, okay, I can take this online and actually start selling my organic desserts. So I still have my website up. I don't sell as much as I used to because I've just been busy doing a lot of other things, but I will take orders. and my business name is Piece of Paradise, and it's linked on my blog as well. So people, they just started asking me, and they're, hey, I realized that you do this organic baking, and I also see you posting pictures of your meals. Like, have you ever considered creating a blog? I was like, no, I hadn't thought about it, but I just started praying on it. And I was like, well, this could be a good way for me to reach out to people and teach them about my health and like how I am treating myself so that they can avoid going through the stuff that I went through. I decided to start my blog in April of 2016. So it's been a little over a year and a half. And I am so happy with my blog because a lot of people have reached out to me and said that it has made them reconsider the way that they eat on a day-to-day basis, because they're like, well, I don't necessarily want to go vegan or vegetarian or something like that, but you're making it more approachable for me to eat healthier. So that's exactly what I wanted to do.
And so that's the popsweetsboutique.com. Is that where the Piece of Paradise
yes.
information is? Okay. So wow, so you're in school, you find out you have this, like you're balancing everything. You nail down kind of like how to bake like different foods and sweets and treats and so forth, which I can't cook at all. So I'm like, I'd be the person to just buy it. But you also during that time, I guess, and I'm just recapping for the audience, were able to also like sell kind of some of your items once you perfected your recipes. And then, so was it like then after college, you were like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Let me do something with this information I had. And that's when you started not only selling your treats, but also, I guess, putting out recipes and other information with people who had the disease?
Yes. And wow. I don't want it to be just for people that have autoimmune diseases. I believe that everybody should eat more organic vegetables and fruits and switch to using more pasture-raised beef and chicken and things like that. Like those are just simple tweaks that you can add to your daily diet that will have a huge impact on your health. So like I said, you don't have to necessarily follow a strict diet like the paleo diet or anything like that, but just there's a few small things that you can do that will have a dramatic impact on your health.
And so for you, like after you decided to do this, did you balance it with a full-time job? So, working a full-time job and kind of selling, your treats, or did you like begin to do this full-time?
I blog almost full-time. And I also invest in real estate with my father. So it's just a good way for me to control when I work, since some days I will have that are a little slow for me. So I can choose, like I said, my own schedule, and I can make money. And then I can also do what I love, which is, like I said, I love helping people. I love blogging.
And so now that you've, really gotten into more of like passing on this information, do you mainly do it online? Did you decide to also do like classes or like speaking engagements? Like, how did you decide to like, I guess, do that side of the business? Because it's like very different than selling like a physical product.
Yes, I haven't started doing speaking engagements, but that is a goal for me. For right now, I have just been doing word of mouth. Like if I'm in a store and I'll run into someone and I'll start a conversation and I'll start talking to them and telling them about my blog, and we'll start getting into the details of diet. And sometimes they'll let me know that they'll have some ailments or something and asking, well, is there something that I can do to treat this? And so I'll tell them, like, I'm not a doctor.
Right.
Just from what I've read and researched, that I believe that this could help you. So definitely word of mouth. It's it's the oldest marketing trick in the book, but it really works. So.
And then for some of the, I definitely want to just dig into some of the business stuff a little bit, but just for some of the folks that are listening that just need advice on the type of foods that they should be purchasing from the grocery store. I know you touched on some already, like buying organic chicken, changing up your flour, but what are some other tips you can give to people who think they might be suffering from this or are already suffering from it? Like any grocery store tips or cooking tips that could help them out?
Yes, I would start with grocery shopping at a natural store such as Sprouts or Whole Foods. Walmart is doing a lot better about carrying organic ingredients, but they're still they need a lot more. So you do better focusing at Sprouts or Whole Foods, or if there's like a fresh market in your area. And I would say stay on the outskirts of the grocery store. Don't really shop in the middle aisles because that's where all the processed ingredients are. So I don't really buy too many processed ingredients. If anything, I might buy like pasta sauce that's in a jar. I might buy a few canned vegetables, but I try to stick to frozen and fresh. And that's also another thing. Try to buy your vegetables and fruits in season and then freeze them yourself. It's a lot cheaper to do it that way. And a few other tips. Using grass-fed butter. I know it's a lot more expensive than using regular butter. But
I didn't even know there was such a thing as grass-fed butter.
Yeah. So it's very rich in vitamin K and vitamin D, and those are the things that you need for your body. So it's a great source for it. I don't buy any vegetable oils. For various reasons, I stick to coconut oil, olive oil, and grass-fed butter. And if you can get your hands on some natural lard, then by all means use lard. It's a lot healthier than the vegetable shortenings that are in the store. I stay away from Crisco. Crisco is bad.
Right. No, that's some great tips. And then how about, tips for when you're going out with friends and you're eating at restaurants? Like, how have you been able to work that out? Because I know that's really hard too, because you never know exactly what they're putting in the food, but you just don't want to go there and order water. So, any tips for that? Like, how have you navigated around that?
Well, usually when I go out, I will say that's like my cheat meal since I don't know exactly what's going into the food. But I'll try to stick to stuff that is on the lighter side. So like a salad or pasta, like it's not going to have too much going on in it. So I'll stick to that. But there are times like I'm a foodie. So if I want to get the fried catfish and the shrimp and it's not wild caught, I'll be like, you know what, it's okay for today. I really want this. So don't be afraid to have your cheat days because like I say, you're not going to be able to eat clean 100% of the time. So you just really want to make sure you focus on eating clean at home.
No, that makes sense. And then, so for you, like, even on like the Piece of Paradise, like it's really focusing on like the desserts, like the healthy non-GMO desserts you have up here. What made you decide to like focus on that versus like, bars or any other type of food?
Well, I knew that if it was good for my body, I didn't want my customers eating the genetically modified flours and sugar. So I was like, okay, if it's good enough for me, it's good enough for my customers. So I was thinking, well, what could be easy for me to ship? At the time when I was selling in person, I was doing a lot of cupcakes and cakes, and that's not the easiest thing to ship in the world. So I narrowed it down to selling brownies and cookie bars and candy.
Yeah, and I guess that's easier too than like prepared meals and things like that because those could get a little like unwieldy, and then the shelf life is like a lot shorter. So I think with desserts it's a lot more controlled.
Yes.
On your blog also, like, can you just touch on, just for some of the readers, or excuse me, the listeners out there, like what type of things that you cover?
Yes. Obviously, you guys can tell that I cover recipes, like that's my main thing, but I also cover natural living. So I discuss about using natural deodorants, natural soaps, and I'm going to start covering on using homemade toothpaste. Like I make my own toothpaste from coconut oil and essential oils with baking soda, and I've been using it for over a year. And I went to the dentist a few months ago, and no cavities or anything. And he was like, "Wow, your teeth are amazing." I was like, "Okay, great. So this toothpaste actually works." So I'll cover stuff like that. And I also want people to start thinking about what they use to clean their house with. Like I switched to using natural shower cleaner and all-purpose cleaner in the kitchen, like things like that. Like you don't want to use too many chemicals in your household because your body will absorb everything that you spray in your house or that you apply to your body. It's going to absorb it all.
Yeah, I know. I need to let go of my Clorox bleach. I know, like, it's so toxic. Even I'm like, go to the natural. And, I'm usually pretty good with natural everything. I've even tried some natural deodorants. I haven't found the right one yet. And I've tried other natural things, but like cleaners, I definitely need to like change up because I know they're like killing brain cells or something as I'm sniffing it in. But for deodorant, have you found one, like what I found with natural deodorant is it has this, like, even if it controls the odor, like it feels sticky. Like I guess it's missing that antiperspirant or whatever. Like, have you found one that doesn't like have your arms feeling sticky, or found a recipe that kind of works for you?
Yes, I found one about a month and a half ago, and the company is called Sway. And I actually have a blog post on it already up. And they're going to officially launch next month. And I will be doing a giveaway for that. It is not sticky. It keeps me dry. It smells great. Like I can go almost 48 hours and not have to reapply or anything. So I love that one.
Wow. Well, people out there, definitely look out. Like, I'll have the link, of course, to your blog in the show notes, so maybe they can win it. But I'll definitely have to try it out too, because that's my only thing. It's like, I want to use a healthy deodorant, but I'm like, I don't want to smell and I don't want to feel sticky. I just, right? So for you, like over the past several years, how have you just built like your audience? Like, how have you kind of really gone about like letting people know that like you're out here giving this advice, or even selling your baked goods? How'd you market yourself really?
Well, for my baked goods, I would go to my local business meetings. I would connect with people at my real estate meetings. And that's honestly where I would get my best customers, especially for corporate customers. It was easier for me to network with the people that way than trying to use like Facebook ads or Google ads or something like that. Like actually like going in person and talking to people is how I got most of my customers. And it's still how I get customers is by just talking to people. For my blog, how I get readers is through Facebook ads. That actually helps me, and through hashtags. Everybody's always talking about hashtags, but it actually works. So that's how I get my readers that way.
Very cool. And what's kind of like next for you? Like, where do you kind of see yourself going, or what do you see yourself doing and focusing on for the upcoming year?
For the upcoming year, I want to start doing more YouTube videos. I know like that's going to be the push is video marketing. So I want to focus in on that. And I also would like to start focusing more on my piece of paradise. And my goal for that is to actually open a brick and mortar location. So I need to really start owning in on that and getting that to where I know if I open a brick and mortar that it will be successful.
Now, for your piece of paradise, you know, since you're using like different flowers and stuff like that, like are your treats like do they kind of taste like normal sweets, or is it where you know how like some organic food it'll have like just a different flavor, but you kind of get used to it because you know like you're eating like healthier ingredients?
Actually, it tastes exactly the same. I've
Oh wow.
had people, they were in shock because they were like, I just knew this was going to taste healthy. And I'm like, no, just try it. And that was the thing. It was like when you use certain whole wheat flours and they taste healthy. And I was like, I can't have that. But I found a flour and it tastes just like using the bleached white flour. So
Yeah, and as far as the video thing, I'm with you too. It's interesting for my business partner, Astrell Riles, and I, like for our other business, startafashiontruck.com, like we've done videos and we were pretty successful like on YouTube. So now that I'm trying to do it myself with NacheSnow.com, it's funny because videos take so much more like time investment.
yes,
Oh my God.
definitely.
And it was kind of cool when I was doing it with her because maybe we would tag team on some things. And so now that I'm just doing it for myself for my business, I'm just like, oh my goodness, like even before our call this afternoon, like I've been working on this one video for like 2 hours that I'm about to put on YouTube about collaging. And I'm like, it's a 10-minute video.
Exactly.
I'm like, why did it take this long?
Exactly.
But I think you are so right. I mean, we hear it all the time, but like videos are the thing that people are gravitating to, and so it's like really like I'm kind of at the point too where I'm trying to figure out like, okay, if I post something on YouTube, how can I repurpose it for Instagram and then also put it on Facebook? I mean, it's just like, oh my God, it's so much, right? But it's like
Yes.
that's what people want. They want to see kind of what you're talking about, how to do the recipe, or you know, hear you talk about like, you know, how to go to shop at the grocery store. They want like to see a face, right? Well, cool. Well, before I wrap up here with our wrap up questions, did you have any other advice for people, especially people who are just discovering that they have like some type of like autoimmune disease?
Yes, the biggest piece of advice I can give if you just found out that you have an autoimmune disease is to keep the faith, because I know when I finally found an answer, I was just like, wow, you know, I was happy that after all these years, you know, I'm not crazy, that there's actually something wrong. But then it was like, oh crap, there's something wrong. So you just have to stay positive and you can heal yourself. I know a lot of doctors, they'll say like for fibromyalgia that it's incurable, but there are a lot of resources out there that will tell you that, yes, you can heal yourself by doing this and that. So, you know, just keep researching, keep the faith up. Your days, they're going to be tough. It's going to be tough to get out of bed. It's going to be tough to interact with people when they don't quite understand, you know, why you're moving slow. They might have, you know, smart remarks to make, but, you know, just forgive them and forgive yourself. That's the big thing, is because you're going to be upset with yourself. Like, gosh, I used to be able to do this and now I can't do this anymore. But, you know, love yourself and be patient with yourself. It's going to take time, but you're going to get through it. So.
Now, for fibromyalgia, are there, like, is it something where there are medicines out there to help treat it, or no? It's like you just have to kind of go through it.
Yes, there are medicines out there like Lyrica is one of them. I don't take Lyrica. My body didn't respond too well to it. So I take ATP Fuel, and it's actually a supplement. And as far as a prescription drug, I take Tramadol, and it's a muscle relaxer. I'm sorry, I can't think of it right
no,
now.
no worries, no worries. Yeah. I just
But
wanted to know
those
if
two
there was
things,
other
they help
relief.
me. But you just have to ask your doctor, what choices would he recommend, and take the trial packs for like 2 weeks and see how your body responds. Because like I said, with fibromyalgia and autoimmune diseases in general, your body, it will tell you, hey, I do not like this stuff. So
Oh,
just be
yeah.
careful.
Now, did you continue to go to like just your regular doctor, or is it recommended to go to like a specialty doctor?
For getting a diagnosis, you will definitely want to go to a specialist. But for the majority of the time, I will go to my regular doctor. If I am feeling very symptomatic, then I'll go ahead and I'll make an appointment with my specialist. But for just small things, I'll just go to my regular doctor.
Well, now this is great stuff because, I feel like there are some people out there that are suffering in silence, or maybe they feel like lethargic, or they know something isn't right, and they can't quite put their finger on it. And like you said too, like maybe they've gone to their doctor and their doctor doesn't quite know what it is either. So if maybe some of the symptoms and some of the things that you've talked about resonate with them, the next time they go to the doctor, like they can because is there like a test for it too, like a specific test?
There are a series of tests, but the main thing that helps them make the diagnosis is they will give you a printout of symptoms, and you go through and you check them. And so then they'll look and they'll be like, okay, well, based on these symptoms and a few of the tests that they can run, they'll say, okay, you have this. But like I said, it's just, you have to find a competent doctor, because some of them, I hate to say it, but they're arrogant, and they'll just say, no, I know that that's not it. And what do you know? I'll come back and I'll be like, yeah, it was it. So just,
Yeah.
Like I said, make sure you take some time to find a doctor that will listen to you.
Yeah, and I think what's great about your story too is I think sometimes when anything happens to folks, be it they're diagnosed with whatever, they feel like life is over and they're not going to be able to do anything. And I think it's great what you're doing is like sharing your knowledge. You also have like your own business, and then you're doing like the real estate too. So I think it just proves like even though it might be difficult on certain days or multiple days, like you just kind of push through it and you still can have like this quote regular life, right?
Definitely.
Yeah. So just a couple of wrap-up questions. Have you discovered your passion, and if so, what is it?
Yes, I do believe I have discovered my passion is helping people. I have always been a helper for as long as I can remember. If it would be to just help people in school with their work, or to now helping people with their health and trying to give them advice on how to cope with whatever it is that's ailing them, I want to continue on that path. I hope that I can reach a lot of people and can have a positive impact on their life.
What's one thing you can't live without? It can be anything in the world.
Tea. I would have to say tea. I am a tea addict. I love hot tea in the summer. It doesn't matter to me. I love tea. I have probably like 30 different teas in my pantry. So.
Oh, wow. I was going to ask if you have a favorite, but it sounds like as long as it's really good, you love it.
Yeah.
And please just let the listeners know where they can find you.
You can find me on social media at Mercy, MERCI _Brit, BRITTE. And my website is Lil, sweetspiceadvice.com.
Well, thank you again, Brittany, for sharing your story and also talking a little bit about your business. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Wow. So I just thought this episode was amazing. I'm like so excited about this season. Last season was amazing. I feel like this season's going to be amazing. Of course, I'm biased, but yeah. But anyway, I mean, just one quick recap on just like some of the tips she gave, like, as far as the food to eat, organic vegetables, free range chicken, organic eggs, pastured lamb or beef, I think we all know that, but, it's good to just be reminded, like, okay, these are the types of foods that we should be eating. And then I really loved her grocery store tips too, right? Like, do the natural store, but she mentioned Walmart because sometimes those stores could be really expensive too, right? So even if, you're going to Walmart or some other type of discount store, just be really diligent about trying to find like the organic food or the foods that'll be best for you because they are starting to get better. I feel like it's starting to change where you don't have to have money in order to be able to eat healthy, which really just burns my biscuit, but we won't even go there. Anyway, and then how, I've always tried to follow that rule too, to stay on the outskirts of the grocery store because the middle has like the processed ingredients. And so I think that's just a good reminder. Her thing about the vegetables and fruits in season, I think I need to get better about that. I need to find a good website that really lists the foods that are in season so I can kind of keep that in mind or bring it up when I'm in the store and then get better at freezing. I'm not like a good person in the kitchen or just grocery shopping or whatever. So that might take a little bit more work for me. But if I find a website that is really helpful, I'll definitely put it in the show notes. And then I have never in my life heard of any grass-fed butter, but you know what? I'm going to look for it. I'm going to try it. So I just like learned a lot. And then of course she said the coconut oil instead of olive oil. I do that now. And then I guess if you are one to cook with Crisco, she's saying try to find natural lard. So I just think that she just gave like a lot of actionable tips, like even from the natural living too. Like I'm using Tom's toothpaste now, so I'm seeing how I like that. And I sometimes use natural soaps. I kind of go back and forth, and I'm terrible with the house cleaner, so I really need to find one that works best for me. But these are just like some great tips to just improve your overall health. And that was just on top of like just giving, I think, inspiration for anybody who's suffering with anything, be it an autoimmune disease, be it cancer, be it, fibroids. Like, I feel like we, in particularly as women, we suffer from a lot of things, and sometimes we don't know how to manage our symptoms. But the first step sometimes is just eating and living right. And that's something that I know I need to be better at, and I'm sure you do too. So I hope that you at least take maybe one piece of advice today and start implementing it into your life. So I love to hear your thoughts on this. You could definitely leave me a comment on the show notes at nachesnow.com/33, and all the links that were mentioned in this episode will also be there, and that's nachesnow.com/33. So you can leave a comment there, or if you see the links on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, I'm everywhere, definitely comment on there too, because I'd love to start a conversation about this and just find out what you guys think. All right. So, anywho, thank you for listening to another episode. I've got another great guest coming up next week. I'm, just as equally excited about the next guest because they all, to me, are amazing, which is why I have them on. You can find me on, of course, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, you name it. Just look for the Studio 78 podcast. And just like I mentioned in the beginning, if you can, please leave me a review, and you can go to nachesnow.com/iTunes to go over to iTunes. Someone just left a review on Monday, and it says, fantastic. It is so good to hear from up and comers instead of the same big names over and over. So I was like, oh, wow, that's like really super sweet, because I think we do hear from the same people over and over. And my whole goal is like, there are amazing people that we have never even heard of. So, Thank you for leaving that review. And then also in September, someone left a review too, Malika, and she said, new fan, just found this podcast and binge listened to Nache. She is engaging, knowledgeable, real, and inspirational. After every episode, I feel motivated to step into action and work on my business. Thank you for sharing such valuable content. I really, really appreciate you guys taking the time to listen and taking the time to review. So anyway, until next week, people, catch me on social if you want to talk to me before then. But have an amazing morning, noon, and night. Bye.